All right, we do have the Youngstown State contingent. Coach Doug Phillips, DJ Harris is representing Youngstown State Penguins. We'll take some questions. Doug will make an opening statement, talk about the season getting underway, and then we'll open up for some questions in the room, and then we'll have external audience.
Yeah, starting year 6. So, for us, and sometimes you got to get knocked in the face, and, we're all trying to figure this out. In the new world we live in, the portal, NIL, managing a roster, coaches, hiring, and I feel really good where we are right now. We learned from a tough season last year that wasn't up to expectations for Youngstown State football. Made some changes, had a great spring, learned from playing 60 minutes, had leads going into the second half of football games and weren't able to finish those games. In this league, you gotta finish. It comes down to last possessions, comes down to that fourth quarter. Year before we go to the playoffs, but if you recall that year, we won games in the fourth quarter. Last year we go 4-8 because we lost games in the fourth quarter. So for us, it was a learning experience, but we're certainly excited. We got a lot of returning players. It's the first time in the portal era we didn't lose a starter in the spring portal. And for us, that's a big deal. We have very good football players. And some of them would have financially benefited by going in the portal, but I kind of feel, a lot of 4-year players have been in the program. It's in that class that they stuck together and they want to get themselves out and have a great year this year.
Let's start first with the Youngstown State media that could not make it. And again, if you're joining us remotely, just unmute yourself to ask a question to either Doug or DJ. Let's go back to the room. All right. Questions from the room for Youngstown State.
Doug, Jeff Kopak with Fargo. Year 6 makes you dang near one of the veteran coaches now in the league.
I know, it's that crazy. So a lot of changes. But again, like I said, year 6, again, I have a lot of guys in the profession, friends of ours, and we don't have the answers yet. But just the one thing I've learned is you got to focus on what you can control. And sometimes, we're a developmental program. We get kids that, when they come as a high school player, they probably weren't highly recruited. We develop them. And then year 3, year 4, they're very good football players and they have opportunities to go everywhere. So for me, what I really learned is we got to keep bringing in freshmen. We brought 25 freshmen in this current class. DJ can tell you, probably a different looking freshman than we probably ever had at Youngstown State because of the portal. Because there's a lot of kids that are not getting as recruited, so they're sitting there for you. So, that's the experience maybe 2 years ago when I lost a lot of guys. Guess what? I wasn't ready for it. And I didn't have that foundation built. And you're going against programs that consistency over the last 10 to 15 years is incredible. The Dakotas have built over consistency. In the day, it used to be Youngstown State and not East. And that's what we're trying to get back to.
DJ, can you describe the difference a couple of years ago, losing several players to now, or are you keeping them? What's been the difference?
Yeah, so I'm one of the newer faces to the team. So I'll say losing a couple players to the portal, I feel like sometimes it can be a relief and sometimes it can be bad for the team, but it's always good to keep the players that want to be with the team and want to be with the program. It's always going to be hard, FCS competing with FBS schools, when it comes to NIL. A lot of players want to transfer out for money or to just play at a higher level, but a lot of times you got to be where your feet are. And we play in a good conference and we play in a good league. There's a lot of players that from our conference go to the NFL and they do get that shot. So I feel like I don't really feel the need to really transfer or for some players to transfer because you can get the same opportunities and same shots where you are in FCS at this level.
Coach, with this new era of revenue sharing, there's not necessarily scholarship caps anymore.
Yeah.
You think in the FCS now where it has been a bit top heavy, could this even the playing field a little bit, or could it potentially widen the gap even more?
I do. I think we all gonna have certain challenges. I always felt like there's a bubble over some of the states, and it really didn't penetrate that bubble compared to what we had to face. I mean, if you put a circle around Youngstown State of about 250-mile radius, there's a lot of FBS schools. There's a lot of competition, knocking at your door. So I do feel like the scales could be balanced a little bit. We're fortunate because, we've been knocked down. Hopefully we've made the answers. Hopefully we made the changes that we need to do to put us in a position to be able to compete, to be able to win a Missouri Valley football conference. I mean, that's what we strive for every day, and that's what we work for every day. I think there's a players portal, and I've had to deal with coaches portal. Again, our coaches leave us. They're at Wisconsin, they're at Michigan, they're at Northwestern, they're at Syracuse, they're at, so for me, the consistency, I probably have had 14 different coaches in the last 5 years. And so for even me, I'm looking for guys that have relationships in the Youngstown, Ohio. I had a coordinator, he's like, I want to interview. No, I'm not interviewing. Why? Because you take a 90% pay cut, come in here. The coach, you don't realize my wife's from Youngstown, Ohio. So to find people that have that type of relationship, we're able to bring Michael Zordich back. Mike's a big name in Youngstown. Played at Penn State, 12 years in the NFL, coached at Michigan, coached at Central Michigan. Well, guess what? He never sold his house in Youngstown. And to be able to get him, he's coaching DJ and the experiences that he can bring to our program. So not only in recruiting players, but you also, the coaching aspects you're recruiting and what's a good fit for you. Knowing that just like a player, when I get a young football coach, I can't pay him, what the FBS can pay him. And we lose a lot of guys like that. And likely so. That's great for him. It's just like we're developing players, we're developing coaches, and they move on. So again, those are challenges. And again, I wish I could say I have all the answers, but I've found a way to navigate, and we'll see this 2025 season if, that plan comes together.
Doug, any advice for all these FCS schools coming in, these new ones?
Yeah, good luck, So I don't, everyone's got to have their own little plan, even transfer portal. We look at DJ. DJ's part of success because guess what? We stick to a plan. DJ came from Tiffin University in Ohio. DJ played Division II and started Division II. Guess what? If you're good in Division II, you're probably going to be good at our level. And not only that, he's in Northeast Ohio, Massillon, Ohio, and grew up probably 5 minutes from the birthplace of Ohio in Canton, Ohio. So again, that was something that works for us. We just got to be diligent. We got to stick to that plan of who we bring into the program. And he's one example of that.
Time for one final question right over here.
Coach Phillips, Alex Kinkle, Jackrabbit Illustrated. Quite a few additions you did bring in. It's refreshing to hear you say you're able to keep so many guys.
Yeah.
Truthfully, one of the few guys you did bring in along the front seven.
Yeah.
How much of that is due to seeing the success of the schools in the Dakotas and their ability to rotate defensive pieces? Is that something you felt you needed to do, or just your scouts are out there?
No.
That sort of pieces fell.
We knew coming out of spring, we needed to get some size. And, again, we got a defensive tackle from Grand Valley, but he's from Cleveland Benedictine High School. We got a defensive tackle from Fayetteville, but he's from Michigan, have Midwest ties. But we knew we had to get big. And, so for me, we got about 20 scholarship D linemen. And guess what? We're going to play them all and see which one rises to the top. And we needed a couple 300-pounders. We went and got them. They're working hard. I really love how they came together. I think DJ would agree. And again, we got young defensive linemen I feel good about, but I'm honest with them. I don't know if I need to see them playing 35 snaps a game against South Dakota State, North Dakota State, and those teams, maybe 10 plays a game. And so these guys have helped us bridge that to get our youngers, because we got a couple freshman D linemen. They'll probably play this year. One's about 330, 6'4", and the other one's 5'11", 300, but they're explosive. They're strong in the weight room, and they'll be able to get some experience playing in the toughest conference in the country. But it's in the trenches in this league, and if you don't have it up front, it's going to be a long year or a long day that week.
Coach DJ, thank you very much. We'll let you get back down to the main floor.
Thank you.
Thank you.